Welcome to the L Spot Show. I'm your host, Camille J, and thanks for joining us today, guys. On today's episode, we are discussing the ever taboo topic of dark skin and light skin. Now, I purposely did not say dark skin versus light skin because I personally don't even feel it should be a competition. But we'll get more into that with my co-hosts, Angela, Yvonne, and Jameer Pond.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Well, the light skin versus dark skin is a very taboo subject. This is a topic that I feel a lot of people still have issues with, but try not to acknowledge their thoughts because in 2017, we think we aren't experiencing it too much. But in the upfront, in the media, that's something that's obvious, but nobody wants to be the blame for making someone feel ostracized.
I couldn't agree more. So we on the L Spot Show have decided to address the issue that has been cancerous to many black communities all over the world. So let's just get into it, right?
Definitely.
All right.
It's unfortunate that it's something that is still happening within our communities today in 2017. And it started from us being brought to this country. And it even probably was happening even before that. And Angela, I know you did some research on that and you had something you wanted to share with us about it. So let us know.
Yeah, I did do a little research. Well, it started off with the Willie Lynch Letter. And the Willie Lynch Letter is basically the blueprint on why we are still enslaved mentally and physically today. And what I found was, I assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned slave, and the light-skinned slave versus the dark-skinned slave. So that basically gives you why we are even having this, conversation today. It was instilled in us, and it's probably put through the bloodline where we just subconsciously, that's just how we act versus the dark skin and the light skin.
Yeah. So just to be clear, so that is by Willie Lynch is a white
He's
male.
a white slave owner. He's a white slave owner. And when they brought us over here from Africa or the different, parts that we came from, they needed to find a way to control us. So they would do things to the slaves that would, break our spirits, lower our self-esteem. They would take, we're raised that the black man is supposed to be the head of our household. So they would do things to the black man in front of his wives and his children in order for, because once you have a distaste of someone not being strong, you treat them differently.
Yeah. Definitely. And I know, like we learned, like there's like a separation, like the house Negro versus the field Negro. So if you're like fairer skin,
because you had slave blood.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like in the house, so you're allowed to be seen amongst the folks, still as the help, but allowed to be seen. And then darker skin, they had you outside in the sun all day. And that just, with that, like you said, if we see that happening mentally and physically, what bothered me, another thing about the excerpt that you read, is when you said that they'll be self-sustaining and self-regenerating for years.
Yeah. So that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, and they're like, so this is what we want them to think, and they'll continue to think that way without any help from us. So it really is just unfortunate that, that it's something that we're still trapped by today, and that it's not just our fault. Like, it's us being against each other. It's really generations and generations of this being instilled into our psychology.
But because that falls into, us not wanting to learn a different way because we're comfortable with that type of way. But I see that we are slowly starting to get the clue because we're starting to get billionaires and, black billionaires. We're starting to get, teachers and bankers and, people who are really starting to wanting to invest in our community, which once you invest in something, you're starting to get self-pride. Your self-esteem is starting to rise because now we're getting movies and shows that is showing us that we're coming from kings and queens and that what someone told us a long time ago simply wasn't true.
Yeah, we're finding our voice, which that's great. And with conversations like this, we could just only continue. But I feel like not only was it something that happened in history, but now it's also about our surroundings. If we keep
course.
seeing that, and if it's surrounding us all the time, we're not going to know any different. We're not going to do any different.
Yeah, and that's really what it has to be. It has to be like an in-depth rewiring of our mind states and our standards of beauty, because in mainstream media, the European standard of beauty is the norm. So the nose, the lips, and now you see it's turning into something different. Like people want full lips, people want bronzer skin, and they don't want to say directly where you got it from.
You know, those cornrows.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying. So it's like, and melanin is a thing that people are celebrating now. So I think the standard of beauty is changing, and in that, our mind states have to start changing a little bit too.
And definitely in the media. So it's on us, people that are in the media and people that do have a voice, to make sure we're putting out these messages and steering away from the narrative that we had before.
Yep.
So it's like interesting to me to think about who is in the media today, on TV, music wise, anyone that has been, prominent as a black figure. Can you guys think of any?
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's Beyonce.
Yeah.
Even though she's an entity of her own, there's Beyonce. But in my recollection, I really can't say or remember a darker skinned pop star after the 90s?
Okay, so we could quickly go through the timeline, because we have like Donna Summers, and you have like Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle,
Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, I think that they set the tone, and they were like, really accepted nationwide and even broader than that. And then you have like on TV, we have people like Viola Davis now and Gabrielle Union, who are changing the narrative and not getting stuck on those same roles that we always get chosen from. And then there's males too. We have like Diddy and Jay-Z who are out there. Who are out there. Okay, definitely. Who are out there and making their faces known, making their standings known, like where they fall on the scale of what they believe in, and supporting the black community and making sure that they provide for the upcoming black community so that we could adjust the narrative that we have going on today. And that's what I really feel it is on us, because if we change what our surroundings are, that will help change what we believe and what we do. That's how I feel.
Right. Because I think it has a lot to do. People need to travel more. They need to travel more. They need to read more. They need to just be more aware that, just because someone tells you that doesn't necessarily mean that's the actual truth.
So Angela, being someone who has lived in multiple countries around the world,
fancy.
Lucky you.
That's fancy or whatever.
What is your own personal experience with light skin versus dark skin?
Well, in my personal experience, I was fortunate enough to be able to live in different places where I experienced that. But I find that overseas, they appreciate the African or the descendants from African a little bit more. Because I remember when I was younger, my mother used to have me in braids, and they would just be so like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. They would always tell me how beautiful my skin was and things like that. And I just find that it's just really, really different over here versus over there.
Okay, so do you think it's like they're appreciating it because they don't have it often, or are they appreciating it because it's like rare and different? Like, or are they like, I don't want to say like stealing from it, or
I think it's because
is it genuine?
I think it's genuine, and I think it's because it's rare. I think it's because it's rare, but I think that they're appreciative of it more so than over here, like living in the North or the South. In the Southern, in the South, they're more like, oh, you need to, because this, remember, we escaped the South to get to the North. And North gave us a little bit more freedom to do certain things. But in the South, if you go in certain parts, there are still ones that are just like, oh, you better get you that light skin, man, because you want your babies to look like this, this, and this.
That's very true.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's unfortunate that people do that, but I could see why people would want to try to choose what mate they have.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but I think choosing when it comes to preference and prejudice. Like there's like
That's
a fine line, and people don't choose to acknowledge it. Like I remember growing up, I wanted the hair like I saw on the wave can, because you want your waves to be on point, but I couldn't get that pattern, and somebody had to tell me, like, somebody said, hey, they have good hair, and I had to really examine. And,
or it was a perm.
And probably right, but like going where like our descendants come from, going all the way back, and understanding that there was a difference between light skin and dark skin, and how people were treated, and how people with fine hair were treated over people with more coarse hair. So then it just became a theory of just me loving myself. And I had to look in the mirror and be accepting and love who I was, no matter what skin
Absolutely.
color.
Definitely. And I do just want to say, like, I'm happy that we are in a state now where we do have people that are able to set the tone for us and to keep using their platform in order to provide for other people like us and other people like themselves, to change the narrative about, all black people are loud and not as smart, and dark skin got to be this way and light skin got to be this way. Only light skinned girls got to be sexy, and dark skin whatever.
Very true.
Even though, I love me a chocolate man.
Yes, chocolate.
Chocolate man always are in style.
Always
they
in style.
Light skins be trying to sneak up in there, bro.
Yeah, they are always in style.
Don't give me the blushing. Don't give me the blushing right now.
With the beard. With the beard.
But I do want to thank you guys for all your insight, and definitely for anyone that is watching online. Make sure you comment and tell us about your experiences, because this is something that we need to continue to talk about so we can change the narrative. So let's keep the conversation going, and hopefully it can catalyze some real change and change the way we treat and view ourselves.
Absolutely.
But now let's get a word from our sponsor.
Oh, wait.
Akai Tayo Artistry by Cynthia J is a New York City-based makeup company. They provide services for fashion shows, television, magazines, and a whole bunch of media outlets. And as a part of their motto, be inspired, be an inspiration, Akai Tayo Artistry takes inspiration from each of their clients to showcase their own individual, best, unique beauty. Thank you to Akai Tayo for being a sponsor of the L Spot Show.
The year is almost over, and as you are preparing for next year, I'm sure there are things you are not carrying into the new year. Jameer, I know you went out into New York City to see all the people that are giving up things in 2017.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Jameer Pond, and I'm here for the L Spot. This is Word on the Street. Everybody's having a good time. There's motorcycles in the background. Don't worry about that. We're here in the heart of New York City at Rockefeller Center, and I want to ask you a question. What are you leaving behind in 2017 that you're not going to take with you in 2018? Could be a relationship, could be a friendship, could be a job. I don't know. I got some stuff, but we're going to talk to you about that. So keep it rolling. We'll be right back. I'm here with Linnell. We're talking all about the new year and what you're leaving behind in 2017 that you're not taking with you in 2018.
Well, I used to have curly hair. Just went with the straight. Made my hat since it won't probably look good with the hair.
So you're leaving your hats. You're taking all your hats and you're throwing them away. Is your hat right here?
Yeah.
We're going to say bye-bye to this hat. There's no more hats. I might actually take this. I don't know what it is, but it's a nice hat. Give me 2 things that you feel like you're going to leave here in 2017 that you're not taking.
Definitely the world. I've been really connected with God lately, and I'm definitely leaving the world behind. I'm leaving all my bad habits behind. I'm leaving, a couple of friends that don't do me good, just really good stuff to fill up my spirit with good energy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm leaving all that stupid stuff behind.
We're leaving all the negative energy, straight positive for 2018.
Absolutely, just like that.
The fakeness, the snakeness, the attitudes. Just be happy that you're living. You know what I mean? Don't bring that to other people. Cause we happy on this side. We winning. You know what I mean? Don't bring no losing attitude around here. No bad. You know what I mean? Surroundings and none of that crazy stuff. That's what I'm leaving behind 2017.
What are 2 things that you're leaving behind?
First thing I'm leaving behind is preconceived notions about people. Working in Times Square and doing what I do, a lot of people do have preconceived notions about what I do. They see it a certain type of way, and the message I'm trying to extend to people out here is that it is legal for women to do what I do here in New York City. It's been legal since '92, and a woman should not be knocked for however she makes her money. If she's not leeching off the government. She's taking care of herself. She doesn't need nobody's. Don't knock a woman for what she does. The second thing is the people who hate on the woman doing what she's doing. So
you get a lot of haters.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Naked Cowboy's been here for 20 years, right? And the same women that will take a picture with him and let him grab their butt, pick them up, grab their hair, walk by me and tell me I'm disgusting and I need to put clothes on. We already don't have a lot of equal rights as men, so the rights we do have, we need to exercise them, we need to hold on to them, because if we don't, they will take them away from us and we didn't even know that we had them in the first place. So even if women don't agree with the reasons why I'm out here, I'm still here for that reason.
So clearly a lot of people trying to leave a lot of stuff right here in 2017. We're not taking any negativity. You heard Angel, she's taking back her body in 2018. And a lot of people have really great things to say. So we want to know what you have to say, all right? So you can hashtag TLS leaves 2017 and tell us what you're leaving in 2017. Me, I'm leaving fear. I'm putting one foot in front of another, and I'm leaving back preconceived notions, just like Angel said again, and just getting the fear out of my eyesight so that I could always walk in faith in God. All right? And I can always be here, right here on the L Spot. Thank you guys for tuning in. Jameer Pond. Peace.
And now let's welcome to the show R&B artist Kojo Stone. I got a little story about this one because we actually met in LA for the BET Awards when the L Spot was covering it. So it's great. Little did we know though that he was from New York and we're from New York. We're like, yo, we got to get you on the show. So we're glad to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Even though it's cold in New York, it was nice and warm when we met in LA.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's much different, but you know, we're definitely glad to have you. My co-host Jameer and Angela. So let's get right into it, because your latest project, Ego Trip, we was back there bumping it in the green room.
Yeah. It's a nice project, man.
Thank you so much. It's my first project actually out, and through all the trials and tribulations, man, I got it out. I got it out.
I hear that. Definitely hear that. So it's Ego Trip.
Ego Trip.
Been out since October.
October 27th.
So, yeah. So tell us a little bit about the project itself and how'd you get inspired to do it, that type of stuff.
Well, of course, the inspiration came from life experiences. And like I said, through all the trials and tribulations of my life, because there was a lot of things going on, you know, personally, where, you know, we had to figure out how to get everything to come together properly, you know, through, you know, a business format and just me being in my own creative space and personal space and going through my own issues. And I guess more so the inspiration came through feeling like, and not just in a relationship, just kind of like relationships, period, not technically through just intimacy between male and female, just relationships, period. Dealing with people and kind of like trying to put your ego aside, either feeling like you got to prove your love to somebody, which is one of the songs on the EP, or feeling like, you know, I don't know if you can curse, but I'm not messing with you. You know what I mean?
Thank you for editing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate
it. Family show.
Family show, yeah. And I'm pretty explicit, but I'm going to keep it PG. But I'm not messing with you, you know what I'm saying? Because your ego's involved. And basically, I think I was going through a point where I realized that it was just a lot of ego derived situations around me, and nobody was really kind of like deriving off of love, and even myself, I wasn't deriving off of love.
I think your mic is good.
Okay, and even myself, I wasn't deriving off of love, and it just came about like these songs were just randomly like put together, and it wound up telling the story. So I think God was really like cool on my side with that one.
Okay, well,
What's your
congrats.
favorite song on the album?
It varies. I think my favorite song now is Ego Trip. Yeah.
Okay. Single.
Yeah. Well, it's not the single. It's not a single. The singles Prove That and I Rather. But
I like I Rather.
Okay.
I saw the video.
Felt some type of way.
Right.
It was a story, like I said. It's a story. It goes through the life experience. I don't know if you have time to just break it down real quick. Yeah. Just kind of like, so it's just like energy, Proves That, I Rather, Surface Love, Ego Trip, and Want to Be Loved. Just 6 songs, excuse me. And it just kind of goes through energy is kind of like meeting two people, feeling that energy. You feel a vibe. We grow. We do whatever we want, and then going through the process of sometimes you ever feel like you got to prove your love to somebody, and they're not getting it. You know what I mean? And surface love is kind of a situation, an actual situation where, you know, you get into that off and on relationship with a person that you've been dealing with for a while, but you know, I'm growing. Sometimes you get into a point where like, yo, I can only like love you from the surface right now because like we're going back and forth. Everything is too deep.
Sounds like it's inspired by true experiences.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we could probably all relate to, and people that listen to your music can definitely relate to it. And when you were talking about that it's just relationships in general, it also made me think of proving yourself, like career-wise or just with anyone. Like you want to make sure that they pay attention, they know your worth.
Proving yourself.
Thing, and that's like some of the messages that I got from listening to the music. So I think that's good. But as being an R&B artist in today's society, I feel like sometimes the lines have been a little blurred, especially with artists like Bryson Tiller and Tory Lanez, who come out off the bat, they're rapping and singing, and they got like that hard-hitting song, and then they also got like that smooth, you know, that smooth R&B. Did you feel like a challenge being a new artist and being a new R&B artist?
It's always a challenge for me because I live in the world, and in today's, you know what I mean? It's always a challenge being an artist because it is so saturated, and it can become intimidating at times. But this album, I didn't even know was going to be as traditionally R&B as it was. It just started having to be like that. But I grew up hip-hop. You get what I'm saying? I started rapping even before I was singing. You get what I mean? So, like, as R&B and soul as you hear it, that's just a God-given thing. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't been singing since I was like 2 or 4. Like, I started singing very late. And that was just something, I think, a conviction that happened. I was just like, you know, sing. I've always been a writer, though. Yeah.
And you know, you're from Brooklyn.
Shout out to BK.
That's a fact.
Hip-hop is always, you know, out and prevalent here. So, but do you feel like you have to, now growing up in Brooklyn, and you know, you said that you were a writer and a rapper at first, do you ever feel like you could blend the two, and does it work for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, it just, in that space and time, in this project, that just wasn't what my spirit was leading on to. You know what I mean? Everything was, like I said, I didn't know it was going to be as traditionally R&B as it was. And sometimes it just happens like that. You know what I'm saying? But of course, like, there's tracks that I got for days that I'm kind of like, you know, on my mixing the two, spitting, I'm kind of singing. And there's tracks that I'm like really like going to church. You know? Because it's just what's in my spirit at that time and through whatever experience I'm going through.
What I really found dope on, like, I think it was I'd Rather, which everything else is like traditionally R&B. This one was a little more fast-paced. Would you be open to incorporate other genres of music besides like hip-hop and R&B in the music as you grow? And if so, what do you kind of want to step into as far as like experimentation?
Absolutely. So I think I'm just putting that category of soul and R&B because my voice is just kind of like naturally soul. You know what I mean? This is something I was born with.
That smooth R&B voice.
Right, in the rain, Carl Thomas type.
Rain.
Yeah, no, of course I want to venture out to all types of genres, and I think I've grown up listening to like Z100. I've always been kind of like well-rounded when it comes to music. I've listened to a lot of different like genres of music, and but right now, of course, I want to go into the Afrobeat. I want to go into, you know what I mean? I'm very kind of like indoctrinated into African culture, so I want to go into that. I want to go into, you know, whatever my spirit leads me to. I'm just like a writer at heart, basically.
All right, so dream collaboration, go.
Dream collab.
Dream.
Anybody,
like
dead or alive.
Oh, dead or alive?
Dead or alive, if you could collab with someone.
Okay, 3, Bob Marley, D'Angelo, and Biggie.
Yeah. Okay.
Why D'Angelo? He's one of my favorite singers.
That's low-key my pops. Like, he don't know yet.
That's low-key.
He's low-key my pops.
We got the same baby hips right here. Like,
You didn't see the video. Okay.
I'm a skinny version of D'Angelo. You don't see the braids just going down. Nah, but nah, I really admire D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Always admired D'Angelo.
Yeah.
He's a
Al
great
Green, Al Green, Bob Marley, but like, I always wanted to work with Biggie because Biggie was like
It's Brooklyn, right?
everything to
Brooklyn,
me.
hip hop.
Yeah, I know his whole album literally. Like,
Yeah.
Now you did. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned like ego tripping around you and that kind of energy around you. If you did have an ego, you know,
I do.
Oh, you do. Okay,
Of
so
course.
what's one thing that you like found yourself tripping over, going on a little ego trip in the making of this album, or just going through life?
The feeling of kind of like being aloof to a situation. Kind of being like, you know what? You acting funny, I'm out. Or
Got you.
I'm over it. I'm done. And so quickly kind of like relieving myself from a situation, knowing that you kind of want to be with the person and you want to try. And it kind of like, it becomes discouraging. I guess it's definitely for the other person. It's just like, you don't even care. And it's like, it's not that I don't care. It's just sometimes I don't even feel like being drained.
Right.
But it's an ego thing to
Yeah.
not fight for something that you want.
Yeah, and like giving up
Yeah.
without putting your all.
Yeah,
And I
basically.
think that's probably something that all of us have fallen victim
Absolutely.
to.
Of course.
Yeah.
Whether
Of course.
it's in relationships or in life.
Yeah.
You know?
Ego is very powerful.
Yeah.
It's
The
very
ego
powerful.
is very strong.
So make sure y'all check out that Ego Trip album, I guess.
Absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
you can show. Tell us where we can find it.
You can find it on Tidal, Google Play, iTunes, on YouTube,
SoundCloud?
Everywhere.
SoundCloud, everywhere.
Yes.
Yes,
Everywhere.
basically,
Find
yes.
Kojo Stone.
Yes, thank you. KojoStone.com, at Kojo Stone Official is my Instagram.
Well, that's all we have for today's show. I want to thank our special guest, Kojo Stone, for joining us all the way in New York. And thank you to everyone that's tuning in to the L Spot Show.
And remember, you don't have to see the full staircase, just the first step. Martin Luther King.
Okay.
That was really
Quote
good.
of the day.
Quote.
I like that.
And you can catch me on all social medias at Absolutely Angela Yvonne or at entertainment_fix on Instagram.
Right. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Jameer, Jameer. And ladies, if you're over 40 and feeling frisky, you can find me on Facebook at Jameer Pond.
Okay, for the frisky ladies.
Over 40s.
You like the over 40s?
Oh, come on now.
Guys, you can find me at Camille J _ Twitter, Instagram, all that. Y'all don't need me on Facebook. Y'all don't need me on Facebook. But make sure you follow the L Spot so you too can network and be recognized.
Yes.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.